Hello, welcome to my third installment of my series AI Insights. I am Kellie, and for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, this is my third video in the series of a recounting and a repackaging of an event that I went to back in May 2024. This was a virtual 3-day event that I went to, hosted by Singularity University, and it was amazing. There was so much deep knowledge, and every time I'm watching these videos again, I get more insights and more information that I just really feel inspired and compelled to want to share and spread, to get more people involved, more people up to speed, and more people talking about all of this new artificial intelligence revolution that we're in the midst of, to help you understand it a bit better in a way that this program really opened my eyes and my mind to seeing in a different kind of way. So Singularity does not support me or sponsor me in any kind of way. This is all just me sharing what I took away from it. If you wanted to get the information directly yourself, you could go to this website here, and down here you're able to watch on demand these experts. There's just a handful of them. They're not all pictured here. Really amazing, deep experts in a lot of different aspects of AI. And I did my first video on a presentation by Aaron Frank. The second one was by Hod Lipson. And today is on presentation number 3 by Dr. Kellie Nuttal. And again, super great information, and I highly recommend you check that out. But in the meantime, I'm happy to have you here, happy to share what my takeaways were. Again, these are my own opinions, my own perspectives. Always do your own research. As a bonus, at the end, I am doing a ChatGPT demo of a sort of fun use case that using the information presented in this presentation. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And basically, because I am not a natural speaker, not a natural presenter, I'm still learning how to make these videos. And so I'm going to stumble and fumble a little bit here and there. And I appreciate your patience and sticking around with me as we figure this out together. So let's get started. So again, this was the third session of the 3-day event. These were insights by Dr. Kellie Nuttal, and the presentation was Leadership in the Age of AI. So this is Kellie. She is an Australian strategy consulting leader at Deloitte, and she collaborates with a lot of corporations and governments and startups to advance AI in Australia. She holds a PhD in consumer decision psychology, and she is a global influencer by bringing these really deep, amazing insights all the way from Australia to Silicon Valley. And she started off her presentation sharing a little bit about how she got into this field and came to know what she knows. And it's rooted in this idea that humans are not always rational. This insight had really laid the groundwork for her. She said 15 plus years helping organizations get value out of their data. And basically, she came to understand very quickly early in her career that data is really helpful for helping humans make more intelligent decisions. And this point is really supremely aligned with my own mission. So I am starting a community called Cathartic Clarity, and I'm teaching a skill called intuitive prompt design. And basically what that's doing while I'm teaching that, I'm teaching people how to mine their personal experiences, which essentially are data, using this new skill of intuitive prompt design. And what that does, it activates and strengthens our intuitive capabilities so that we're able to make more intelligent decisions. Always good to start with a little bit of background 1955 is considered sort of one of the birthplace of AI research. There was a summer research project initiated at Dartmouth exploring artificial intelligence, and they really came up with some good concepts and theories around machines mirroring human intelligence. But we didn't have the resources, the technology, the data to really make any use of any of these theories. So Kellie described it as we entered into sort of an AI winter. Fast forward to today, we have the technology, we have the people, we have the resources, we have the data, and we have so many practical AI applications that are already at work within our everyday lives, and there's just more and more coming out every single day now. This has been a shift from using data for analytics and compliance purposes to using it more for predictive purposes and also for creative purposes. As a result, we have seen some of these technologies, the adoption rate is through the roof. It's extremely exponential. ChatGPT took only 2 months to reach 100 million users, and that was faster than any other application up to this point. So this brings us to a point that's near and dear to my heart, having to do with the current data that we're training the AI models on. A lot of it is underrepresentative of a lot of the fullness and richness of human experience, and that is going to be a challenge as governments and corporations are using that data to create policies and services and products and new technologies to try to use incomplete, imperfect information. And so I think it's important to raise this point so that we get more people involved, get more people to share their perspectives and to help shape ethical and inclusive AI is just really so important right now. They also say that we're, somewhere in the presentation said that we're expected to run out of data, organic data, to train our AI models on. And I forget if it was like 5 years, 7 years, somewhere 10 years, something like that. And again, that's a problem because a lot of this data is not representative of the full human experience. And so I had created my community, Cathartic Clarity, to try to help people destroy their creative blocks and start and be able to share their story and share their perspective and get involved in this conversation at the very least. So that way we can help solve some of these issues or at least mitigate the risks. There's a lot of bias baked into the data that we have, and we can't necessarily get rid of it, but we can take steps to try to minimize it. And to the extent that we can't get completely rid of it, we at least need to understand that it's there and have some transparency around the models so that we know that it is incomplete information. Another important piece of this puzzle here is that until recently, most people had not had the technical ability, the clarity, or the reason to share their story or perspective. But with these language models, we are all able to, it seems like it's this technical tool, but it's not at all. It is a simple language-based tool that anyone who knows how to type, write, speak a sentence can use, or even just a handful of words can use to get greater clarity and to understand and be understood in a way that they've never been able to before. Kellie had talked about navigating this AI hype cycle. This is a chart by Gartner, and basically in the age of AI, this is recognized as a significant era in technology for a lot of reasons. It's not just one technology making its grand debut. It is a whole bunch of different technologies from a whole bunch of different fields converging, and that is adding rocket fuel to rocket fuel and just making this hype cycle just on top of hype cycle on top of hype cycle. And Kellie was saying that we're here at the top of the peak of inflated expectations, and then we get into these tools, and a lot of times we're a little bit disillusioned by it. So we go into this little trough of disillusionment, and eventually the technology creeps back up and becomes everything that we knew that it could be, and that begins this slope of enlightenment. So usually this sort of cycle takes maybe 5 to 7 years, but with this new sort of moment in time that we're at with this technological revolution, this is expected to only last about 2 to 3 years. So that is substantially more quicker than ever before at any other point in our life. And we're going to be living in a much different world in 5 years than we're living in today. And it's important that we just understand that a little bit. I've talked about some of the reasons why in the other 2 videos that I've created for this series. The first one on Aaron Frank's presentation really talked a lot about this point and what's driving it. This is all creating a lot of challenges for AI leaders or leaders in general. Hard to really distinguish sometimes what's hype and what's real. Hard to really balance how quickly do we go and how much risk are we willing to take on. And again, I mentioned before, this is about more from sort of compliance and analytics data usage to predictive and decision-making sort of models. So having that right data is just really crucial for leveraging AI effectively. It really transforms how organizations and private people predict and make decisions. Kellie had shared some key sentiments from executives that she's hearing over the last 12 to 18 months. A lot of them are now acknowledging that there's this disruption and that the opportunities that the AI disruption is making, that there is an action that they need to be taking. They're not sure quite what it is yet, but doing nothing is not an option. They're all trying to identify where to start. Where do we start here, and how do we maximize this value? They're also recognizing that this isn't just the same old thing repackaged. We need to go beyond the usual analytics and business intelligence to come up with some new ways of using this technology. Again, balancing that, how fast do we go versus how much risk are we willing to take, and also building out those data foundations to make sure that we get good, solid information on the other side of this. This for me, I'm going to say this one a couple of times here in this presentation, it is a democratization of innovation. I am now able to jump into a language-based tool and create a prototype of some item, some gadget that I've always wished I could make, but never had the money to go hire an engineering team to make a prototype of. I get to now do that myself. It doesn't take more than my laptop, my ability to connect some dots and share some words with a language-based application, and all of a sudden I get to have a prototype. So this is empowering me. And by doing so, empowering private individuals, this is accelerating our process at exponential rates. So how do we prepare for AI integration? We talked about the data preparedness a little bit already. I even mentioned the strategic data use. How are we going to use it? What are the best ways? Are we going to use our own data? Are we going to use our own model? Do we take somebody else's and adapt it for our own use case? These are conversations we need to be having within our organizations. There's also this piece about business transformation that's super important. And Kellie kept hitting on this point that AI needs to be integrated in it as the overall business strategy. It's not enough to say, oh, I've got these great use cases for AI. Let's see where they plug into our company and support our mission. You got to start with what is the business value that we're bringing to our customers, and how can we use AI to really unlock that at a deeper level. And it's important, she kept saying, to really look at all of the processes that we're doing and evaluate, are some of these processes just going to completely go away? That would create opportunities to pivot and innovate at an even deeper level, to be staying on top and staying ahead of what's coming down the pipeline. So with all this talk about the company aspect, I need to bring in and make it real for the individual, because this was where I have come into AI. It was really me playing around just intuitively with ChatGPT, and I just unlocked some transformation in myself that is the reason that I'm standing here right now giving this presentation. And now I'm wanting to share that sort of use case with more people to help other people get out from behind their creative blocks and share their unique gift with the world. So I'm using AI, really ChatGPT and other sort of simple language models, for personal transformation and for bias awareness. I'm using it to reveal my biases and to empower myself and other people to contribute to these models, so that way they get a more complete and full, comprehensive understanding and representation of the human experience. So as Kellie talks a lot about this from a corporate implementation perspective, I like to bring it back to the personal implementation perspective. And that's because when I first started playing around with ChatGPT, I was just bringing it certain aspects of my life that were just stumping me. I've been trying for 14 years to get out of my own way and say what I need to say and share what I'm here to share, and I just kept getting blocked and stunted the whole time. A few months of playing around with ChatGPT, and those biases were revealed. It's not that they're gone, but I know they're there now, and I know what to look for. And that's the whole reason I can be standing here right now giving you this presentation. And that's what I want to help other people do for themselves. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling stifled, if you're feeling like out of the loop and what's that word I like to use? Disenfranchised. This is a tool that can resolve a lot of those issues if you give it a shot. And that's what my community is designed for and geared up for, is to help people do that in their own lives. And the wonderful thing that happens once we get rid of those creative blocks is that we become empowered, and now we get to share our perspective, we get to share our story, and that's going to add more content out into the world, more organic content that's based in human perspective and experience. And that's going to create these AI models that are more well-rounded and that have fewer biases. And so that is really just so important, because then as corporations and governments are accessing these data banks, as they're thinking about products and services and policies and technologies, they have a more full spectrum of human experience to draw upon as they're making these things. So it's just super important, and you're going to keep hearing that from me. Kellie had brought it back then to a lot of the organization. The key thing around AI is to be really clear on what you're solving for in your organization. Again, starting with business value first. what is our business value, and how do we use AI to unlock that? And do we focus on productivity and cost reduction? Are we focusing on growth and innovation? Are we focusing on risk management? Are we focusing on enhancing customer and employee experience? Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of all of those, but it's just important to understand, start the conversation with what is the business value, and then to what degree are we going to focus our strategy, our AI strategy, on each of these sorts of focus areas. From a personal perspective, some of the focus areas that we can look at is this personalization of technology. It's not just a decentralization of technology, it's also a personalization of technology. And now we get to have some tools and applications and capacity to get rid of the one-size-fits-all approach and really get something that's catered directly to me and my specific use case. That's what I've been using ChatGPT for, and that's what I teach other people to do. And that has just been so useful for myself and for other people. And not just in my community, there's so many other examples that we could share about personalized healthcare and personalized nutrition. I'm part of a program, Viome, where I get personalized supplements geared right down to the very essence of what my microbiome needs. So that's pretty crazy, and I love that. And it's just because this decentralization and this personalization is making this whole thing possible right now. So as you are setting your AI ambition, whether it's for your company or for your own personal life, you can start with some key considerations. Again, I've mentioned some of these. How quickly do we want to adopt it? Are we going to be a first mover, a fast follower, or do we want to move with the pack? Not doing anything is not an option. What outcomes are we looking for AI to drive? And that's going to help us. How can we measure that so that we know if we're actually accomplishing those things? Where do we invest our time, our efforts, our money, our people? We've got to have those conversations to build this strategy. What are our guiding principles, and what is our risk appetite? Ambition should be revisited on an iterative basis as maturity and strategic priorities evolve over time. So this is unlike any other time in history. I've already mentioned this is a democratization of technology. We have so much computing power that we carry around in our back pocket for almost nothing compared to what a fraction of the computing power used to cost just 10 years ago. I already talked about the democratization of innovation that is empowering individuals and small teams to really get in and innovate and experiment and break some of these traditional barriers. And I just spoke about the personalization of technology too, so that we get to move beyond these one-size-fits-all solutions. And this is just empowering diverse voices and enabling personalized innovation through these accessible AI technologies. So how do you future-proof your AI strategy? It's probably more difficult to do that now than it ever has been, because it is just moving so quickly, but it's important to at least try. Take a forward-thinking approach to think outside of the box and try to do your best to consider not just today's businesses, but also the future landscape of where the business might go. The industry and technology trends, you got to stay up to date on those. And of course, your future business vision to make sure that your industry and your AI initiatives line up accordingly. Kellie mentioned sort of two lenses for AI integration. One was about efficiency and improvement, which I think a lot of people tend to want to start with. But she mentioned you got to realize that short term it's important, but long term everyone's going to gain the benefit of those efficiencies. She also talked about the innovation and transformation piece, which is about what parts of our business aren't even going to be a thing anymore, and what opportunity might that open up for us. So on the one side, we get to do things differently, and then on the other side, we get to do different things. So think about how AI can help you do what you do today more efficiently, but also enable you to do different things altogether. Another example of rethinking business models: is your company's business model still relevant in the AI-powered era? She gave a couple of examples that challenged traditional models. I guess Radiohead had started giving music away for free. And so one idea that could come out of this is, what if I'm an artist and I just upload my music samples to a platform that everybody's invited to come and co-create with me and share in a part of that revenue stream? How crazy and amazing would that be? And another example she gave was consumers who are on Instagram using AI to create these really cool clothing designs and footwear designs. And now as the company who would normally create that thing can look at that and go, wow, let me take their product design, and again, maybe we're sharing some of the revenue or something. So these are just a couple of the ideas that she brought up that I thought were pretty interesting and definitely worth mentioning here. Kellie also talked about the impact of AI on customer relationships. For so long now, we've gotten so tolerant of the AI sort of chatbots and pre-recorded voice prompt things, and it's served a purpose up to a point, but there's also a line where it just doesn't really work. And this is now an opportunity to, again, this personalization of AI, but also humanizing, bringing some of the humanity back into some of these areas in strategic ways where it makes sense, so that we do get that human touch. And so it's just important to continually ask, in the age of AI, what defines our value for our customers, and where is the humanity versus where is the technology? Just important things to keep in mind. She shared this holistic AI integration framework, which really it's an approach to ensure a path to value and scale. I'm not going to go a whole lot into it. This is her thing. I'm not the right person to speak to all that, but I thought it was an important thing. And if you wanted to learn more, you could connect with Deloitte and learn more. But the mindset piece, the courage, so I'm going to talk about that here. This courage in AI adoption is just so important. It can feel a little intimidating and a lot of risk and a good deal scary to even think about, because there's more unknowns than there are knowns right now with all of this. And when I look down this path that we're heading on, I can just see so clearly that the things that we've been afraid of up to this point were based on technologies that aren't even going to exist anymore. And the things that we need to be afraid of haven't even been invented yet. And so, again, it's why we need to get everyone involved in this conversation so that we can help try to shape ethical and inclusive AI in service with humanity, and try our very best to minimize some of the worst possible outcomes of this technological revolution. Kellie talks about how this framework that she shared, it's about incremental AI implementation. You're not just going in and setting up a new ERP system and walking out the door and saying, okay, done. Not that ever happens with an ERP system, but this is like that, only on steroids. It's just important to set up the framework first, make sure that you're tying it to your business value first, and then making sure that you're just going about this strategy logically, reasonably, using the data that's available. And that's going to give you your best chances of your highest success. For my own sort of mission here with all of this, I have used AI to unlock this new skill I call intuitive prompt design. I distinguish it from conversational prompting, and then there's another one I call conventional prompting, which is where you have a desired sort of output that you're looking to get. Intuitive prompt design is more like an open-ended conversation with a wise friend that helps you see yourself more clearly. And this is just so important right now because we've lived in a world up to this point that's favored learned knowledge over intuitive knowing. And I see that this dynamic is shifting quickly as more and more knowledge is available in these AI for people to just have access to some degree. It's not about who knows the most. It's about who can feel into a given use case, understand the data that's available that's being used, and know how to intuitively pull those things together to get the most innovative solutions. Some of what makes this AI possible is this deep learning. And in a way, it really is the AI's intuition that we're benefiting from right now. We don't quite know where it's getting the responses, but it's coming up with some pretty close, spot-on sort of responses. And the same is true when we use our intuition. We can't always fully explain it, but we just know when it's aligned and when it's not. And we haven't fully been able to leverage that in our society because it's not third-party verifiable, right? And that's going to be shifting because we don't need to keep the knowledge anymore up here. We're going to have access to it from the cloud, according to Ray Kurzweil. And what's going to become most important is our human intuition to be able to access that data in effective and innovative ways. Also super important is this global collaboration of these evolving systems. My community, Cathartic Clarity, aims to promote collaboration and learning amongst global citizens in these private communities that are aligned with shared values. We need to do that work of defining what are our values, what are our virtues. We need to define those in clear, unambiguous language so that we can then work towards stable, consistent goals. I see this as a time of a community of communities, the whole ecosystem that is emerging from all of this that's going to help us navigate together at a human level some of these challenges and opportunities that show up at a global landscape. And whether it's for the corporation's perspective or the individual's perspective, we need AI governance and ethical standards. We need some clear policies established. We need some ethical frameworks developed. We need some oversight mechanisms, and we need some audits. Each one of those points is a whole okay, how do we do that? We don't have any clear answers right now because this is not one country's technology. This is a global technology, and who's to say what the ethics are and what the standards are and what the mechanisms should be and who's in charge? And there's just more questions that we have than answers, and that's why we need more people involved in this conversation and helping make sure that this whole field evolves in an ethical and inclusive way. Kellie talked in her presentation about creating an AI movement as opposed to an AI mandate. Again, that's what I'm trying to do with my community, is to create this movement. The movement is important because everybody has to be involved. We all have to be part of the conversation if it's going to be as successful as it can be. And it's not enough to say, here's the new thing, you need to start using it. We need people to share what they see so that we can fold that in and make sure that it's being properly addressed with the AI strategy. So this starts with fluency, educating employees on what AI is and what their company's vision and mission are, so that we make sure that everything is in alignment. We need to spark their curiosity and get them involved and excited. Get us, me as a private citizen, involved and excited in this conversation. That's part of what, again, I've got a little bonus for you at the end here. I know it's getting a little long, but I think it's going to be fun. So that's me sparking curiosity here for you. Educating employees on the value pools that a business has, or the value pools that I have as a human being to contribute to this conversation. And of course, helping people raise their hand and say, hey, I think I see something over here that could be improved using AI. Kellie talked a lot about scaling AI with common tasks, and she talked about focusing on common tasks across the organization rather than industry-specific solutions, building the solutions for common tasks once and deploying them across the different departments for efficiency and scalability. And again, if you want to learn more, I highly recommend you to those actual videos. This brings me, we're getting almost to the end here, the balancing AI with human expertise. Human expertise is still super critical right now. Hod Lipson and a few other people would say AI is not necessarily going to replace you, but someone who uses AI will. It's 100% confident, but it's not always accurate. So we still need to be involved. We still need to be in the loop. It knows enough about what it knows, but it doesn't have the fullness of the human experience to be able to know whether that's for us. Also important to consider when you're making an AI change, how does that affect downstream? You might be optimizing something for this department, but creating a whole nightmare for the other department down the road. So it's important to bake that in as you're building your strategy. And then, of course, enhancing the human connection and allowing humans to focus on more meaningful interactions. So using AI to take out some of the tedious and repetitive, consistent sort of tasks that it's really good at, so that we get to really leverage the things that we want to do, that we love doing. I'm thinking of the example that she gave, sort of teachers, where they just want to teach. That's what's in their heart, and that's what they entered that career to do, but they end up getting saddled with all of this paperwork. And now we have a way of personalizing education, taking care of some of getting those paperwork needs out of the process so that they can focus more on the students. So that was one example that Kellie gave. This is about trust and community in an AI-optimized world. This was from my own personal perspective here. I really do see private communities providing a trusted space for idea exchange and information filtering as we're getting AI-optimized content from the world. To be able to connect with another human about it, I think, is so important. We get to validate information. If we hear something that's going on, I can say, hey, have you heard about that? What do you make of it? And if we're in value-based communities where I've known you for some time and we have some rapport and some trust, that's going to be really useful to try to validate some of the information that's going to be coming to me that I'm not going to know whether it's real or not. These private communities can also help us explore topics freely and connect authentically, because it's not bound by the same rules and restrictions of social media. We have a lot more bandwidth to talk about which topics we want to talk about, and we can connect more authentically without having to worry about trolls and algorithms, and what are they doing with our data and how are they using it to exploit us. So I am a huge proponent of private communities, and I think we need a whole community of communities as we move forward into this age of AI. So last couple slides here, navigating the AI adoption journey, recapping where we've come through on this presentation. We're going to anticipate some challenges. We're going to take some proactive leadership, and we're going to do some competitive awareness and leadership as a catalyst for AI transformation. It takes leadership, which takes courage. It takes strategy for us to think reasonably, rationally, tangibly, and connect that to the business value or the unique personal individual value, and then create a strategy for implementation. And it takes vision so that we can feel into what that world looks like and take our best shot at staying ahead, or at least in line with what is best for our company or for ourselves. And bottom line is, you are the magic that drives AI transformation. Lead with courage and vision. From my own perspective, the path forward, embracing AI for a connected world. This includes intuitive prompt design, developing the skill to tap into AI's knowledge base effectively, and bridging this human intuition with the AI capabilities is, I say, my theory is the skill of the future. We need to balance innovation with expertise so that we maintain the critical role of human insight in decision making. And we lead the charge. We take it upon ourselves to learn about these things and figure out what's important for us from our perspective, and use AI in intuitive and innovative ways to help solve complex challenges. Together, we create a more inclusive, innovative, and connected world using AI. If you're still here, I thank you. And now we're going to have a little bit of fun. But first, if you want to connect with me, I've got a website, I've got a Calendly if you want to set up some time to have a little conversation. You can collaborate with me in my community at catharticclarity.ai. And even if you don't talk to me or see me ever again, my call to action is for you to get involved, share your story, because humanity right now, more than ever, needs your voice. Here we are. Little bonus, 5 more minutes if you want to stick around for a little fun ChatGPT demo as an award for hanging out with me as I sort of do my thing. ChatGPT. All right, so if you're not familiar with ChatGPT, you can Google it, you can find it. This is what the user interface looks like once you're logged in. I do have the paid version, so mine might look a little bit different. Anyway, I like GPT Model 4, so I'm gonna start there. And my use case today for you, my prize, my reward for sticking around is I'm going to so when I went to this event by Singularity, I recorded the audio so I could have the transcript. So this is a transcript of Dr. Kellie Nuttal's presentation. And so my use case here, hold on, you're gonna love it. Hold on, promise, it's so fun. All right, I have this prepared just to save us some time, but I have never run this before. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna paste in this prompt and then I'm gonna read it. All right, so I like to say, ChatGPT, please analyze Kellie's tone and style in this transcript, and then write an advice column as Kellie in response to the following fictitious letter. Basically, I'm giving it the transcript so it can study her tone in her style and her voice. And then I'm taking this fictitious sort of advice column that now I can ask Kellie anything I want to ask her, and it will answer using her wisdom, her tone, her voice. I should probably say that Kellie's tone and voice, and then write an advice column as Kellie. Let's see. Based on the information provided in her presentation, in response to the following fictitious letter. Imagine you're reading a Dear Abby in the newspaper way back when. Dear Kellie, I've been a long-time reader of your insightful advice and have found myself in need of your wisdom. After ending a long career in the corporate grind, I've decided to embrace my true passion as an independent creator. But that's not all. I'm also launching a private virtual community that aims to empower individuals by accelerating personal transformation using simple AI tools. This community is designed to be a haven for those seeking personal transformation, providing a space where we can destroy our creative blocks, support each other, and use intuitive AI prompts to guide our self-inquiry. It's like a digital sanctuary for the soul, blending technology and heart in a way that personal growth. However, I'm hitting a bit of a roadblock. As excited as I am about this new venture, I'm struggling to find the best approach to foster a truly inclusive and engaging environment. How can I ensure that my community not only thrives, but also remains a beacon of ethical and innovative AI use? Your advice on creating a movement rather than a mandate has always resonated with me, and I believe it aligns beautifully with what I'm aiming to do. Looking forward to your sage advice. Sincerely, Resilience Amidst Chaos. So let's see what ChatGPT's response is going to be. All right, here's how Kellie might respond. Dear Resilience Amidst Chaos, thank you for sharing your exciting venture into the world of AI and personal transformation. It sounds like you're on the brink of creating something truly special and impactful. First of all, I commend your courage in pivoting to pursue your passion, a crucial step in manifesting any significant change. Your idea of a virtual community that harnesses AI to break through creative blocks and foster self-discovery is both innovative and timely. Yay. To build an inclusive and engaging environment, focus on human-centric aspects of technology. It's about enhancing human interaction, not replacing it. Use AI as a tool to facilitate deeper connections among your community members, rather than letting it dominate the conversation. Encourage members to share their experiences and insights on how AI tools have aided their personal growth, which can help demystify AI and make it more approachable. Whew, okay, this is a long one. Remember, the most engaging communities are those where members feel seen and heard. Create multiple channels for feedback and be adaptive to the needs of your community. This could involve regular surveys, interactive Q&A sessions, and even community-driven AI projects where members can vote on what the AI will tackle next. Love it. Ethics in AI cannot be overstated. Always keep this at the forefront of your community guidelines. Be transparent about how you will use the data and AI algorithms, which I'm not using any AI algorithms, I don't think, at least not right now. Ensuring your members trust how their information is being handled. This trust will be the cornerstone of your community's success. As for fostering innovation, consider leveraging collaborative AI tools that allow members to co-create content or solutions. This not only empowers them, but also enriches the community with diverse perspectives, driving both engagement and innovation. Lastly, think of this venture not just as a building of a community, but as leading a movement. This shift in perspective will help you focus on creating lasting impact rather than merely meeting immediate needs. You are facilitating a transformation in how individuals interact with technology and each other, which is a powerful narrative to share. I'm excited for you and your journey ahead. Remember, the blend of technology and heart you're aiming for can revolutionize personal growth. I look forward to hearing more about your success. Warm regards. So that's just fun. You put in a transcript that you have and you can have a conversation with it about it. It can be a fun conversation like this one. It can be a serious conversation. If you wanted some clarity about some topic that she was talking about, you could ask it. Like there was one, what was that one? Oh, let's see if I can get back to it real quick here. The Holistic AI Integration Framework. I could ask about that. Please tell me about the Holistic AI Integration Framework in 1 minute. See if it understood what I meant. Designed to strategically integrate AI into business processes and enhance value and ensure sustainable growth. This critical framework is the integration of AI fluency and change management throughout the organization, ensuring all stakeholders understand AI potential and are equipped to leverage it. So you can have conversations about it. You can get clarity about it. You can say, yes, tell me more about this piece of it. And you can just follow that white rabbit as far down that rabbit hole as you like. So anyway, this sort of wraps up my presentation for today, this third installment. Stay tuned next Saturday. I'm planning to have my next installment. The fourth one was Show Chen, and hers was about investing in AI startups and companies. So stay tuned next week for that. And thanks so much. And I will see you next time. And I will also be posting below this video my information, as well as probably a fun little crossword puzzle based on this presentation. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time. I hope it was valuable, and I will see you next time.